Alright, I just got back from Hisuian Samurott Raid Day, and like I've said in the past, raid days are always a lot of fun, and I really do think Niantic needs to do more of them, and I really do think that they are an enjoyable form of gameplay. But that sentiment is currently not being shared by a vast majority of players who live over in Australia and New Zealand. The reason for that is because due to some server issues, these players were not able to do at least 1 hour of Hisuian Samurott raids. I'm going to be talking about why this is a big problem in this video. Let's get right into it. Okay, Hisuian Samurott Raid Day. So this was an event that a lot of players were looking forward to, mainly because this is a very cool Pokemon and it has a lot of implications for PvP. There were quite a lot of people who were out actively raiding during this day, and I think it was actually a lot of fun, personally. Like in my local areas, there was a lot of people out raiding, and it was really great to see a bunch of people, even though it was really cold outside. And for myself, I was really successful on Hisuian Samurott Raid Day. I was able to get a good number of shinies, and I even picked up a 96% IV shiny, which I was really happy about. But there were a lot of players out there who were very unhappy about this raid day, and the reason for that is because due to some technical issues, they were not able to raid at all because the server would not allow them. This primarily happened over in the Asia Pacific region, more specifically in Australia, Tokyo, as well as New Zealand. And yeah, it was incredibly frustrating to see so many players on Twitter and Facebook and all these different places complain about how they were not able to complete any raids. And a lot of people ended up missing out on some shinies as well, which is incredibly disappointing. Niantic, of course, acknowledged that this problem was happening, and they stated that they would be compensating those players in some way in the future. And yeah, that's okay. Like, I understand that Niantic is not always going to be perfect with their game, and at least they are acknowledging the problem and trying to do something about it. But in my opinion, I think they need to be better. First and foremost, there's a lot of players who missed out on shinies. I think that's a very big problem, especially because this could be one of the only opportunities to get this shiny Pokemon, considering that, yeah, even if it returns in raids in the future, it's probably going to have a much lower rate than it would have had during Hisuian Samurott Raid Day. During this raid day, it was a 1 in 10 shiny chance, so your opportunity to get a shiny Pokemon was extremely high during this event, but in the future, they might bump it up to 1 in 20 or even 1 in 64, which is the perma boosted rate. Yeah, it's incredibly frustrating to hear that this happened, and I really do think that when it comes to Niantic, they have a huge responsibility to make sure their game is in tip-top shape, especially when they have major events like this. But going back to the raid day itself, I do think that Niantic needs to do more raid days, and this is something I've definitely voiced in the past in my videos. I really do like the event format, and I do think it's something that should happen every month, and I'm really glad to see that Niantic is trying to get more raid days happening every month. Like last month, we had a very successful raid day, and it looks like we're going to be getting more raid days during this timeless travel season. Like, there's going to be more Hisuian starters that are going to be released, and I presume they're also going to be getting a raid day. Yeah, the implications behind Hisuian Samurott may not be massive, but I still think it was pretty exciting to go out and try to get this particular shiny, especially because I do predict it's going to make some relevance in PvP. So a lot of people were excited to get this Pokemon. And on top of that, getting its shiny form was pretty exciting as well, because a lot of players were thinking it's going to be a nice trade chip in the future. And I tend to agree with that, because this Pokemon is a really cool looking shiny, and I'm really glad that they made the shiny rate really high so that it was really easy to get this particular shiny. But yeah, in order to get those shinies, you need to be able to raid, and if you're not able to raid, that's going to be an incredibly disappointing experience. Niantic needs to make sure that their servers are in tip-top shape if they're going to be doing future raid days. These events typically have a lot of pressure behind them, like people try to get as many raids done as they can. If they're missing out on some event hours due to some server issues, yeah, that's going to be incredibly frustrating. A lot of people take time off of work, they take time away from their families in order to complete raids for those shinies, and if they're not able to do so, then I can't imagine just how furious they would be. I was actually really lucky because I did not experience any server issues, but for the players that did, I really feel bad for them, and I really do hope Niantic's compensation ends up making up for a lot of the frustrations they must be feeling. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Niantic has a pretty bad track record of compensating players. Like, at the most, I see them giving them a bunch of raid passes, or maybe the best case scenario would be that they just completely redo the raid day for a lot of these players so that they get the entire event once again, so that they have a better chance at getting those shinies. But who knows what it ends up being. I just really hope Niantic does something about this, and they prevent this from happening in the future. But yeah, we'll just have to see how well they do. But yeah, that's going to be it for this video. I just wanted to share my thoughts regarding this new controversy. I know there's a lot of mixed feelings out there within the Pokemon Go community. If you have some thoughts regarding everything that went down this weekend, definitely share them in the comments down below, and let's have a great discussion. And as always, thank you so much for making it to this point in the video. If you ended up enjoying it and found it to be informative and interesting, then make sure you hit that thumbs up button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And don't forget that little bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. Now I want to give a quick shout out to all the patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support my channel in any way, big or small, just like the people down below, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. For all my patrons, they get a permanent spot on my in-game friends list. So if you want to interact with me in some way within Pokemon Go, like with remote raids or the friendship system, then make sure you go and check out my Patreon. I'm only opening up my friends list to patrons right now, so yeah, that's your way of playing with me in Pokemon Go. And if you want to support my channel without spending any money, you could always do so by following me on social media. I'm on these platforms right here, and my handle is @Jinsula. Alright, and that's going to be it for this video. I am Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.